Just want to start out by saying belated Merry Christmas and an early Happy New Year to everyone in Albuquerque, and of course even to folks who are gathered here today on Civic Plaza. So, a couple of things. Number one, want to just mention that obviously we're going into the New Year's Eve weekend. And I want to encourage all residents of Albuquerque to celebrate responsibly. I'm looking forward to what we have in store for the new year in Albuquerque. I'm proud of our city. And as your mayor, we are ready to take on these challenges, and we have a lot of them. One of them is DWIs in our community. And few crimes have affected our city historically and consistently as substance abuse when it comes to driving under the influence. And after making considerable progress over about a decade ago in DWI, we still now have too many drunk drivers on the road endangering lives. And this has been a problem that has slowly been creeping back up in our city, and we want to start, hopefully, with the new year by changing that trend. We've had 31 alcohol-involved driver fatalities in Bernalillo County through November, and we've had 122 alcohol-involved fatalities statewide. Now, to deal with this, we can't put our heads in the sand and think that this is not happening. I know even growing up here, I remember the ups and downs and the challenges we've had in DWIs over the decades. But I also know that recently we, I think, unfortunately, have tried to hope that this was a short-term trend. And we are going to acknowledge today that it's not. It's something we actually have to put dedicated resources into and have a renewed effort statewide to deal with. Now, for starters, we do have dedicated officers working hard to keep drunk drivers off our streets. And I want to thank the officers for sacrificing their holidays to keep the rest of us safe. And that especially includes our DWI unit. You see behind us some of the equipment they use, and of course the Batmobile and some team members who are here with us today. We're going to have a heavy presence on New Year's weekend, starting with DWI checkpoints on Saturday and Sunday. But we also need everyone in Albuquerque and in the surrounding area to be responsible and to plan ahead to ensure that you're not going out without a plan in terms of how to get home. And there are really good alternatives out there that'll help you and your loved ones get home safely. These include ride sharing with Uber and Lyft. These include taxi cabs, of course, and the designated driver program. And technology like Uber is making getting a safe ride home available at the push of a button. And whether it's Uber or other forms of public transportation, we encourage folks to use whatever is more comfortable for them, whether it is the designated driver program or things like Uber and Lyft. And there is no excuse ever for a DWI, especially now that we're offering, in partnership with Uber, a special code for everyone out there in our city to use. They can type in the Uber app ABQ NYE17, and that promotion is available for existing riders, and the trip can start or end anywhere in Albuquerque, and you can receive 4 trips up to $10 off from December 27th to January 1st at 4 a.m. So hopefully this will help give folks an extra incentive to use some of these responsible ways to get home. And we want to wish everyone a Happy New Year and remind them to be responsible and take advantage of one of these many programs to get home safely to their families. And to tell us more about what's in store from the APD side, we have our Chief of Police, Mike Geyer. Chief?
Good morning. As the mayor said, we're going to have a zero tolerance attitude toward DWI. It's one of the few areas where we won't limit our enforcement efforts, and we definitely have discretion in other areas, but when coming to DWI and all the serious consequences, we take no chances. Our DWI units and patrol officers will be out there in force this weekend to keep the public safe. We realize people want to celebrate. The vast majority of people are responsible, and we will look for alternatives to they will look for alternatives for getting behind the wheel if they do plan on drinking, and that's good. But for those that don't act responsible, we're going to be out on the streets looking for them, and we're going to focus on them. They're our problems. They're the ones that cause the fatalities. They're the ones that cause families to suffer tragedies that are unnecessary. Drunk driving isn't just putting themselves at risk. They're putting everybody else at risk in the community. That's not acceptable. And we're going to have to continue to repeat that message, unfortunately, that it is not acceptable. So I wish everybody a safe and happy New Year's holiday. If you choose to celebrate, please celebrate responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for just a couple of questions that folks have on this topic. And so if anyone wants to shoot one out.
Do we have any numbers as to how many DWI arrests were made this year?
We know the one that I cited before was 31 alcohol-involved fatalities. In terms of arrests, I'm not sure if you have a number with you for you right now.
I get that in a second, sir.
Okay, we'll work on it for you, and the PIO team can answer that one for you. Yes.
I know at least a few years ago, the number of DWI arrests, speeding tickets were down 30-40%. Is the new administration hoping to boost up those units?
Yeah, and I think one of the things we're going to assess starting in the new year is we're going to understand whether those numbers are down because of successful programs or they're down because we haven't been enforcing it as much. And so that's when we talk about being honest and straightforward. We don't know the exact answer, but I think it's about a 50-50 bet one way or the other, and I think we're very concerned it's just because we've been so resource constrained, we haven't been enforcing it as much.
On the discount for the Uber, is that $10 off for the trip or $10 off total?
I believe it's up to 4 trips, and I'll just check. Yes, it's up to 4 trips you can use it on. Yeah.
You get $10 off per trip?
Per trip,
Oh, per
yeah.
trip.
You can take 4 trips, yeah.
And then as far as extra enforcement, you say there's going to be 2 checkpoints?
We typically don't announce the details of the checkpoints, right? For a good reason.
Right.
But let me just check with the chief. It's a good question, but
We usually don't, especially the locations of where they are and the times.
number of them.
So we don't want to put that information out, but there will be that selective enforcement out there as well. We just checked some figures too. Through December, we don't have December's figures. There was 1,200 DWI arrests this year for 2017. So we anticipate more for this month as well. So it'll be a little higher.
Checkpoints is how you're adding enforcement.
Checkpoints and sometimes the saturation patrols, officers that are hired back, as well as the normal patrol officers that are on extra alert for DWI.
So I know that you have 8 dedicated officers in the 8 DWI units. Do you plan on increasing the number of people in that unit as the year goes on?
So one of the pieces that we've been talking about for a while is obviously the need for more. We always generically say officers, but it's important that folks understand that means everyone involved with law enforcement. So that's detectives and also specialty groups like the DWI unit. So we're going to have to look at sort of a proportional math formula on what those appropriate increases could be, but certainly it's one unit that we want to look at and see if we need to add resources there as well.